Hello, hello. Thank you for being here with me. I'm aLex Levin. This is Tommy. Rock is further down the couch. We're here in Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube space. Please do see what's happening in our community through our website, sunandmoonstudio.com. We have things going on virtually, lots, thanks to the changes, technological changes, and in person at our two Northern Virginia locations. So we'll arrive, we'll center, we'll go into a tiny bit of movement. Maybe before that and during that, I'll tell you my ideas for guiding us today. Hugely guided by poetry as usual, or lately especially. And then we'll be still for a bit together, all in this half hour together, roughly. And again, thank you for being here in the same synchronous time as some of you are here with me as I'm streaming, or later as you click on the video. It's so relevant, it's so important. And if some of you might have tendencies, like I have a sort of a hibernation, going inside tendency, and it's fine to have that, but also not that I don't crave social interaction, but I almost need to make myself connect more some days. Some days I get driven by my to-do lists, and I have the energy, and it feels great to do that, and it's good. It's so nourishing to be together in various ways, but especially in this way of supporting each other on our, whether you call it your practice path, your spiritual path. So arriving, leaning back into my three words: ground, sound, breath, that I learned from these teachers I've been studying with the past 6 or 7 years now. They call their way embodied life school. Ground. So we find how we feel ourselves where we are. Through the body, especially. This embodied part of the embodied life practice is so vital. So vital to feel through the senses of the body. And the Lakota Prayer that this poem, like from the American Indian tradition. Not sure how it came to be exactly, but I'm loving it, and I know about half of it. Wakan Tonka, great mystery. Teach me to trust my heart, my mind, my intuition, my inner knowing, the senses of my body, and the blessings of my spirit. Teach me these things so that I may enter my sacred space and love beyond my fear, and thus walk in balance with the passing of each glorious sun. The senses of my body, trusting the senses of my body. I feel a lot of us are very aware of our bodies, and there's a huge, we can always be more in tune with our bodies in terms of how we are right now, to come into this presence. feel the base of our body. If you're on your back lying down, it's all the back body. If you're sitting, it might be the pelvis, parts of the legs, hips, feet. And in this spatial way that we're experiencing this, our three-dimensional form and more dimensions, but the three-dimensional, as we let go downward into ground, don't skimp on that, just keep doing that. But there is the opposite, levity, that kind of holds us in place in this gravitational grid. If we open ourselves to it. There's a book that I'm about halfway through as I'm, it's for several years now, I put it down a while ago. It's a Zen teacher. The title is Opening the Hand of Thought. Opening the hand of thought. There's an action there, but there is a letting go in that action. And I wonder that this word stopping, in a sense, stopping is what we're asking of ourselves here, stopping to, and yet we're not completely stopping. Another part of us is open to feeling this weight of our body, this mass, as it meets what's under us and around us, as one of the next of these, this trio, sound, ground, sound. Listen. Listen is the poem I've been leaning into, the other one, Lost. The forest breathes. Listen. We could say the moment breathes. There's an aliveness, there's an interactivity, always available. And usually, just the way we're wired for survival in our lives, it's not what we prefer. Other things take precedence. But how easeful, what a relief to open the hand of thought, to pause, to listen. How not only nourishing, but tapping into what's fresh. If we feel stagnant, in a repetitive circle, if we're caught in something, as so often we are caught in something, whether it's an emotion, a fear, a puzzle, a confusion. And I want to be quick to include, as we open in these ways into this felt sensing of our body, this combination of noticing the senses of our body, trusting into them, that I'm stating some things that catch us, that feel in the negative realm. They're not necessarily that once we investigate them, but also as we open, perhaps what we open and feel, I feel this delicious warmth under the base of me, the lower parts of my body, parts lower to the ground. I feel this little excitement of our time together, as well as I feel a little rumbling of how to get done everything I want to get done today. If that's my worst problem, I'm truly blessed. And so one of the main things I'm thinking today is let's tap into that third rung of this, the third of this tripod, ground sound, breath. Breath. And how this might arrest any thinking and drop us into this flow, this inner massage, this massage that's always available. In fact, one of the key things of being attentive to our breath practices, if you will, is that if we allow ourselves to breathe in a relaxed way, to breathe consciously, to breathe with sometimes some patterns or purposes, this creates a massage that's benefits the health of our inner organs, of our heart, of our lungs, of our digestive organs, of our organs of elimination and reproduction, and endocrine system. And just to watch, just watching like watching a stream, which is so captivating, or watching the fluctuations of fire, watching, just looking out, sitting on a bench as I sometimes do in the park, and looking to the way light plays in the trees and the grass and the playing fields and the people out there in the playing fields and tennis courts. Breath similarly can captivate us as micro moment to micro moment change and feel. And all of this to get to where I'd really like to put in the forefront today. So all of this can be here, but maybe start to background it with this idea that I am not I. The face before you were born. What's prior to all of our knowing, feeling, sensing, intuiting. That something about when we open ourselves to listen to what the forest knows, what each element of the forest knows, and how beautiful how there is a message for each thing that comes to us, that grabs our attention, whether in a positive or negative way. Yes, all that, but maybe what to lean into a little bit more and a little bit more is that which is before, that which is always here. I am not I. So before I read that poem for you, with you, let's take a little movement. And this movement you can, again, do from standing, sitting, any position that you're in. The movement will be just a gentle, little bit of an elongation of the front of you, of the east side of the body, as the yogis say. A little bit of an opening and then returning back. And maybe at first, for a few repetitions, pair this with our breathing. So on the inhale, just open, lengthening. And for me, I'm feeling this since I'm sitting. I'm feeling it mostly from my pelvis, the base of my pelvis, all along the front, a little to the sides, through the neck and face even. And then when I come back to neutral on an exhale, resuming that more neutral position, or maybe even a slight bow forward. And then we can add the pauses of the breath, that inhale, opening the front body. If you're standing or laying on your belly or laying on your back, you might feel also the opening through the front hips and leg connection. Legs. Pause there at the end of the inhale. Then on the exhale, return to neutral beginning point and pause there after the exhale in a stillness, and then the opening, pause, exhaling, returning to neutral or the starting position. And just continue now at your own pace, and you need not pair it with the breath this way. You can, but you might do the whole thing on a pause of the breath. All four positions, opening, pausing, returning, pausing. For those of us steeped in combining the breath and movement, it might be hard not to be in some movement pattern, but what if you allowed yourself to just breathe completely independently of the movement? What if? What if everything was to turn out okay? And now add sort of the bigger context as you open, and sort of the obvious things you feel. What else is felt? What's connected? What happens on the back body? What happens in the wholeness of yourself? What happens especially in the places where we feel the ground and our bodies pushing against or releasing back toward the ground? What happens if you were to imagine the negative space, or the space our form is taking up as it moves into a tiny little back bend and pauses there, frozen for a moment or a few, and then as it returns, how we carve the space and how it just accepts us, releases us. No impingement by space, and even by gravity, and maybe even by ground. And finally, for another few moments, seek, as if to put into your search engine, where would this be? How would this be most delicious? Maybe it's to go quite fast. Maybe it's to linger. Maybe it's to go into the opposite action, is what my body's asking for now. Just the feel, trusting into the senses of my body. And then for another moment, being more in that space of what's prior, what's watching, what's eternal, what's non-changing, as we shift and change. And as you're ready, landing, making your way toward a still spot. Perhaps like me, first craving a sip of your tea or hot water, coffee. Giving into that craving. And then arrange your body so you're ready for stillness if you need to. Sometimes that movement, you might find that you just land yourself in stillness right from that movement, can be very helpful. And I will read I Am Not I by Juan Ramón Jiménez. And I'll read it twice. The first time his version, a translation. I could read the Spanish, but I won't do that today. And then I'll read a slightly altered version for our purposes, for our kind of practice. I am not I. I am the one walking beside me whom I do not see, whom at times I visit and at times I forget. The one who rests calmly when I talk. The one who forgives gently when I hate. the one who goes where I am not, the one who will remain standing when I die. I am not I. I am the one sitting beside me, whom you do not see, whom at times I visit, and at times I forget, the one who rests calmly when I talk, the one who forgives gently when I hate, the one who is here when I am not, the one who will remain when I die. Let us begin about 7 minutes of stillness together. You might revisit ground, sound, breath as it would help you settle into stillness, toward stillness. Finding an ease. A stillness without holding yourself still. And a letting go and opening the hand of thought. A letting go with perhaps this sense, this possibility that we don't have to try so hard. That perhaps the I that am not I carries us. Perhaps relaxing a little bit more in the lower dantian, in the lower belly, middle belly, in the base, in our foundations, structurally. Perhaps when we meet a state that's delicious, not even grasping at it. And if we do grasp at it, forgiving ourselves or letting the I that is not I forgive ourselves. So even that you don't have to do. A few more breaths together. Time goes so quickly. Usually for me, these Sunday mornings. So you might feel you just want to stay where you are a little longer. But I invite you to pause and make what's the word? A conclusion here. There's a word I'm missing. Make come to an end here. Just signifying the end of this practice together, and you might be feeling. You feel what you feel. Maybe there's a gratitude. Maybe there's a frustration. Maybe there's a self-chastising. Just open to all that as we bring our hands to our heart and bow, feeling what that signifies for yourself. And so I invite you to go back to your meditation if you like, go on to your next thing. And as you do, just invitation this week, linger into the pausing, into the stopping, into the moving towards stillness. Even in little bits in your busyness, it's catching that and feeling the richness of all that you sense, but also into the I that am not I, that's what's prior, what's watching, what's eternal, what's timeless, what's has no bounds. Thanks for joining me, my furry ones. See you next week, and enjoy.